Well, hi there, folks. This is Bill O'Leary here coming to you in this video. And the topic I'm going to talk about is LLCs and estate planning. Quick introduction. Again, Bill O'Leary is the name, and what I do for a living, I'm an attorney, estate planning, elder law, and probate. The firm, Legacy Planning Law Group here in Jacksonville, Florida. So let's jump in. LLCs and estate planning. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard of an LLC. What is that? It's short for limited liability company, and they're used quite often for various purposes. So let me tell you an important reason for putting an LLC together, and that is to get what we call asset protection, getting protection of your assets from potential liability. So the LLC, in putting it together, let's say that you have a rental property, you put the rental property in the LLC, very common use of an LLC. The one kind of protection you get is, let's say something happens at the property. So the tenant maybe has a party and it gets out of hand, somebody gets hurt, or somebody slips and falls on the property, and here comes the lawsuit. Well, can they come get at your personal assets for that lawsuit? And the answer is no, because what they'll have to do is, when they bring the lawsuit, they won't sue you personally, they'll sue the owner of the property, which is the LLC. And if they win, well, yeah, they'll be able to get the assets that are held by the LLC, think the rental property, but they won't be able to get your other assets. Okay, so that's what we call inside liability protection. It's protection against claims that arise out of the inside of the LLC, of the operation of the property, let's say the rental property. There is a second kind of asset protection that can be obtained, and it's going to depend on the kind of LLC that you have. So this second kind of protection would protect you against liability that arises somewhere else, outside of the operation of the LLC asset, the rental property. So think you get into a car accident, it's your fault, here they come. Can you protect the LLC and the assets owned by the LLC from that external liability claim? And the answer is it depends. And so what we're trying to achieve is what's called outside liability protection. Protection that against claims arising outside of the LLC. Again, the car accident over there. Well, it depends on the kind of LLC that you have. The first kind of LLC, the simplest kind, is if it's owned by one person. One person. It's called a single member LLC. That single member LLC does not give you that outside liability protection against, again, the car accident over here. Although there is a way to essentially achieve that protection another way, and that's if we have a married couple that's putting the LLC together, and they own it in a special way where they, husband and wife, own it together, 100% own it as the marital unit, called tenancy by the entirety. But if it's an individual person, you do not have that outside liability protection. The second kind of LLC is where there are two or more owners. That's called a multi-member LLC. An owner of an LLC is called a member. And there, outside liability protection can be achieved, because if one of the owners or members gets into the car accident, the question is, can that injured driver come get at the LLC? And the answer is no. They can't take away your ownership interest. But what they can get is something called a charging order. It's a standing court order that, once it's put in place by the judge, it stays in place, and it's designed to be able to grab any money that you might distribute out of the LLC to yourself. So think the LLC owns a rental property, rent is paid out to yourself, they can grab it. And so what happens there is, a lot of times the owner of the LLC will stop making distributions out to themselves. Now, that can be achieved with two or more members. If we have spouses as the two members, a little bit more delicate planning, but we can certainly achieve that. So that's asset protection we can achieve with an LLC. How do we sort of incorporate that into our estate planning? Deciding who gets what, when, and how at your death. Well, You want to make sure that that LLC, which is an asset that you own, is not going to have to go through the probate court at death. A very important sort of objective behind estate planning: make things smooth, quick, and easy. Don't have your loved ones go through probate, which is not smooth, quick, and easy. So how do we achieve that with an LLC? Well, one way is we'll take the LLC and the ownership that you have in the LLC and transfer that ownership. It's like transferring the stock you have in the LLC to, let's say, a trust, a revocable living trust. Common way to do that. Another way is to keep the ownership outside of the trust. Particularly when working with a married couple, we're going to keep it outside of the trust in certain situations to maximize their asset protection. But we're going to include certain provisions in the what's called operating agreement for the LLC to have the ownership interest paid directly to the trust at the second spouse's death. So they're out on date night, they don't make it home, it goes right into the trust immediately, no need for probate. And again, we often will include those special kind of legal planning for a married couple. And it needs to be reflected in what's called an operating agreement. Governs the rules of the road of the LLC. Do not try an operating agreement at home. Couple of other quick points. If you have an LLC and let's say it owns a rental property and there's a mortgage on it, couple of things you need to be mindful of. One, if you then take that property that's subject to the mortgage and transfer it into an LLC, the bank could call the loan. So talk to your lawyer about that. Secondly, it could increase your property taxes by transferring the property into the LLC, because that transfer is what's known as a reassessment event. The county can reassess the property and increase the property taxes. Again, get good advice to do that. One last thing. This new thing coming down the pike that I did another video on recently, where now LLC owners have to report a lot of personal information to the government starting January of 2024, called the Corporate Transparency Act. So, a few things I thought I'd share about LLCs and estate planning. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that topic and other ways of planning your estate and maybe how we can help, we'd love to talk to you. So we invite you to schedule a free 15-minute phone call, our discovery call. Just click on the link that's now appearing in this video, and it takes you to our booking calendar. We'll jump on the call at the day and time that you pick. So hey, do like and share this video, and go ahead and subscribe to our channel. So Bill O'Leary signing off for now. Go make it a great day and a better world.